My parents insulted the Christmas vacation I gifted them, said I still owed them, and called my sister the one holding us together. My aunt recorded the whole thing. I let them reach the airport, canceled every reservation, and watched their bills, phones, and social standing fall apart. Hey, Reddit. My family used me like a bank until I finally said nah and cut them off. But they weren't done causing damage. Before everything blew up, here's how it started. My name's Raphael. I'm 31, work in operations management, and I live alone in a quiet apartment that I actually like coming home to. People at work know me as the guy who doesn't sugarcoat anything. My family, on the other hand, used to call that attitude. We had a long break from each other, years actually, until they reached out again. I wasn't expecting anything from them, and I sure didn't think I owed them some emotional comeback tour. They reached out in that way people do around the holidays. Like the calendar flips and suddenly they remember you exist. Mom framed it as Christmas season. Like reconciliation was a decoration you hang up for company. The first dinner after reconnecting felt like stepping into an old room that hadn't been cleaned, just rearranged. My father, Martin, opened with, "Let's be reasonable, Raphael," which was his classic warm-up before explaining why he was right about something I hadn't even said. He was still the same strict, self-appointed judge of the universe. He liked playing devil's advocate, except he never played. He just picked the side that wasn't mine. My mother, Maria, came in with a hug that felt like a photo pose. She launched straight into, "It's good for people to see family sticking together." She didn't have to say the quiet part. Christmas photos, Christmas calls, Christmas posts, family unity, brought to you by holiday lighting and selective memory. Cecilia, my younger sister, didn't even bother pretending. She gave me a quick glance, then immediately asked if I still had the nice streaming account login I used to use. No hi, no how have you been? I didn't expect anything from her anyway. She'd always been allergic to the word responsibility. Attention, though? She inhaled that like oxygen. By the end of dinner, they had somehow positioned me as the missing puzzle piece in their perfect family display. I played along out of convenience, not sentiment. It's easier to nod than start a war with three people who think volume equals logic. The money issue started small. Martin mentioned their electric bill jumped suddenly, which was funny considering Maria had the house lit up like an airport runway. Maria followed with, "Only until things stabilize. It's the holidays." Cecilia threw in, "Can you add my phone too? Mine keeps cutting out, and I need it for Christmas stuff." They said it like they were reporting the weather. I covered it because I didn't feel like hearing the layered speeches that would follow if I didn't. It wasn't a deep emotional decision. It was just simpler. They thanked me the way people thank the weather, briefly, and like it would have happened anyway. And the more I covered, the smaller they described it to everyone else. Maria even had a phrase for it, Christmas spirit, like my bank account was supposed to glow on command. Then came the mortgage hiccup, which was apparently unrelated to the electric jump, the car trouble, or the broken washing machine. I transferred money again. Maria sent me a long message about how proud she was to see me finally stepping into a responsible family role. Right, because nothing screams responsibility like being treated like a walking debit card. Martin would add his little notes like, "Well, you were always the strong-willed one. This is a good way to balance things out." Balance. Interesting word choice for a man who never lifted anything heavier than an opinion. Cecilia didn't even bother dressing hers up. She'd message me something like, "My card declined again. Can you fix it?" No please, no context, just the expectation that the world bends around her. I covered her phone plan, her subscriptions, even a few random charges she shrugged off as urgent. I didn't bother digging into what urgent meant. The more I paid, the less they asked. Literally. They stopped phrasing things as requests and started phrasing them as updates. "The gas bill is due Friday. Your sister's phone will suspend tonight. The HOA fee was higher this month." Not a single question mark in sight. Natalie, my aunt, caught onto the pattern before I admitted it to myself. She pulled me aside one afternoon when I visited her. She's always been the calm one, the only person in the family who doesn't use emotion as a weapon. "Rafa," she said softly, "they're leaning on you too hard too fast. Don't let them drag you into old habits." I laughed it off with a sarcastic, "Relax, Nat. I'm not 16 anymore." But her expression didn't change. It was the same look she used to give me when she knew I was pretending everything was fine. I should have listened to her. But keeping the peace was easier at the time. Paying a bill took 10 seconds. Arguing with three people who think I was born indebted to them? That could take hours. So I chose silence. And they took my silence as consent. Looking back, that was the moment the trap shut. Not because they tricked me, but because I let them. Not out of weakness, but out of convenience. And convenience has a way of turning into obligation before you realize the floor's been moving under you the whole time. I didn't know it yet, but I was funding my own downfall, one transfer at a time. and they were getting way too comfortable with it. Booking a Europe trip for my family sounded simple enough when it was just an idea. I picked December on purpose. Christmas markets, lights, cold air, the kind of trip that practically sells itself. I thought the holiday setting might soften them. It didn't. It just gave them more props to fight over. The second the itinerary hit the group chat, it turned into a circus. Maria called within minutes. Raphael, sweetie, this hotel. It's nice, but it's not the one people usually talk about. People? I asked. You know, people. Translation? Her friends and cousins who judge everything like it's a sport. It has 5 stars, I said. You'll survive. It's not about surviving, she replied. It's about presentation. Do you understand? People take photos in the lobby. Christmas photos. The tree has to look expensive. I blinked. You're going to Europe, and your priority is a hotel lobby tree. It's not just a tree, she said, offended. It's the memory. She sighed like I'd personally ruined her legacy. Then Martin called. Raphael, I checked the flights. Why did you pick these? Because they're good flights. He made that thinking noise he uses before lecturing. You're spending too much. It's irresponsible. Money doesn't fix everything. I'm paying for it, I said. That's exactly why I'm concerned. You're impulsive. Always have been. Right, because planning a trip for months is impulsive now. Cecilia joined the show by dropping a message in the chat. I upgraded my seat. Business class. Don't get weird about it. I called her. You upgraded without asking me? She laughed. You're paying, Rafa. What's the difference? I need space. I'm the social one. If someone films me looking tired, that's not good. You're flying overseas. No one knows you. You never know, she said, voice dripping with attitude. Don't be cheap. Throughout the week, they found new things to complain about daily. Maria sent me hotels she preferred. One's triple the price. Martin insisted the hotel gym lacked proper equipment. Cecilia complained her room wasn't big enough to get ready in. I kept explaining the same thing. It's booked. It's done. We're going to survive without marble, a full powerlifting setup, and a dressing room. Maria, naturally, told half the family about the trip before I could. Raphael is finally taking responsibility, she bragged. Not doing something nice, not being generous. Responsibility. Like I was catching up on unpaid debt. Cecilia added her usual self-praise, telling relatives she deserved the best seat because she's the social one and has a reputation to maintain. A reputation for what? No one knows. Probably not even her. Natalie, thankfully, stayed out of the nonsense. She texted me quietly. They're acting odd. You okay? I'm fine, I wrote back. If they get too annoying, I'll pretend I lost my passport. She sent a laughing emoji, but followed it with, just be careful, Rafa. I didn't respond to that part. Instead, I started saving copies of every receipt, upgrade, booking, complaint, everything. Not because I planned to argue later, but because something told me the truth would get twisted eventually. It always did. The morning of the trip, their house looked like a fashion shoot gone wrong. Maria was yelling about shoes, Martin about the traffic, and Cecilia about lighting for her airport picture. When I arrived to help load their suitcases, Martin hovered behind me like a supervisor. Don't tilt my suitcase. The wheels will get damaged. It's a suitcase, I said. It's built for tilting. Just do it properly, he snapped. Maria rushed over, flapping her hands. Raphael, must you start so early? Today should be happy. It'll be happier if everyone stops telling me how gravity works. Cecilia strutted out, sunglasses on like paparazzi were camped outside. Does my outfit match the airport vibe? She asked no one in particular. Then she checked her reflection in a car window. Ugh, the lighting is trash. Whatever. I closed the trunk. All right, you're packed. Maria blinked at me. Aren't you driving us? No. I still need to swing by the office. Print something for security. I'll meet you at the airport. It wasn't a lie, just not the full truth. I wanted space. Natalie looked at me before getting into their car, her expression saying exactly what her text had. Something's not right. Text me when you leave, she whispered. They pulled out of the driveway bickering before the wheels even hit the street. Cecilia argued about music. Martin argued about directions. Maria argued about who was responsible for being late. I stood there for a minute, enjoying the sudden silence. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A video from Natalie. No caption. I opened it. I didn't know it yet, but whatever thin patience I had left was about to evaporate. The trip I paid for, the unity Maria bragged about, the chance I gave them, all of it was about to flip. Hard. And it started with that video. The video started with the sound of the car door slamming, and Maria yelling something about being late. I expected chaos, but not what came next. Natalie must have opened her camera by accident at first. Just shaky footage of the back seat, bags on the floor, sunlight hitting Cecilia's face as she adjusted her hair like she was prepping for a photo shoot. Then, the camera steadied. Natalie was holding it low, angled slightly upward. She wasn't filming them on purpose. She probably meant to record a quick clip for her daughter or something harmless. Then Martin's voice came through, loud and clear. "I swear, that boy thinks he runs the world because he pays a few bills," he said. "Raphael's always been controlling. He likes having power. Makes him feel big." My jaw tightened. He sounded relaxed. Too relaxed. Like he'd said it 1,000 times before. Maria jumped in immediately. "Please. He barely gives us anything. And when he does, he acts like we should bow down." She scoffed. "You'd think covering a couple utilities makes him a hero." A couple utilities? I'd been covering practically everything for almost a year, long enough that they'd stopped calling it help and started treating it like a feature. Martin grunted. "He thinks money replaces respect. Always did. Even as a kid, he wanted everything his way." Cecilia let out a small laugh. Not loud, just enough to show she agreed. She didn't say anything, but the smirk on her face said everything. She liked hearing them talk like this. It made her feel supported, validated. Maria leaned toward the window, checking her reflection like she was in some TV commercial. "Honestly, I don't know why Raphael acts like he's the backbone of this family. If anyone deserves recognition, it's Cecilia." Cecilia grinned. "Well, I mean, I'm the one everyone likes. I'm the one who shows up." Martin nodded. "Exactly. Cecilia holds us together. Raphael just throws money around and expects applause." Natalie didn't interrupt. She didn't laugh. She didn't agree. The camera shook slightly, like her hands trembled. She must have realized how far they were going, how natural it was for them to tear me apart the second they thought I wasn't around. Maria kept going. "You know what Raphael is? He's dramatic. Always has been. Every little thing turns into a big show. He thinks he's so tough with his sarcastic comments, but deep down he's still that difficult child we had to put up with." Martin gave this fake sigh. "I've tried to guide him, tried to teach him. He never listens. He thinks helping with some bills makes him superior." Cecilia slid her sunglasses up her head. "Well, he always wants to look like the bigger person. He loves acting above everyone. This trip? He did it to brag. Watch him throw it in our faces later." Maria laughed. "He will, trust me. It's who he is." She shifted in her seat. "Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he booked everything wrong. He rushes. He doesn't think. He just wants credit." Martin added, "He owes us anyway. After everything we sacrificed." Sacrificed. Interesting word choice. The video kept rolling. No hesitation, no shame. They were so comfortable trashing me, they didn't even bother lowering their voices. Cecilia didn't defend me once. She didn't even pretend. She just posed and smirked, proud to be the preferred child. They continued. "He'll probably screw something up today. Watch." I just hope people see Cecilia and understand she's the real responsible one. Natalie stayed silent. The camera stayed where it was, pointed at nothing and everything at the same time. Then the audio cut short. The clip ended. A second later, another short one popped up. It was just Natalie's face. Quiet, stern, eyes full of guilt. She whispered, "I'm so sorry, Rafa," before the recording stopped. That was it. The video had auto-uploaded to our chat through her phone's quick share feature. She probably panicked and closed the app, not realizing it already sent. I watched it again, this time paying attention to tone, pacing, the ease with which they dismissed me. It wasn't shock that hit me. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't anger. Cold, clean clarity. This wasn't heat-of-the-moment frustration. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't them venting about some minor issue. This was how they talked about me regularly. They believed every word. My support wasn't kindness to them. It was leverage they felt entitled to cash in whenever they wanted. They saw my effort as obligation, my generosity as weakness, my restraint as arrogance. And Cecilia, quiet little smiles, pleased nods. The way she lit up when they praised her. She'd been benefiting from this narrative all along. I sat back in my chair. No yelling, no pacing, no emotional theatrics, just a simple realization. They weren't going to change, but I could. I opened my laptop, logged into the airline account, logged into the hotel portal, logged into every reservation I'd made. If they were so confident about who I was, controlling, dramatic, superior, fine. They could deal with the version of me they invented. By the time their car rolled up to the airport, they'd learn exactly how impulsive I could be. Error or canceling everything took less than 10 minutes. I didn't hesitate. No dramatic countdown. Just opened the tabs and clicked. Natalie was on the same itinerary. Same bookings, same account, same confirmations. Splitting it cleanly would have taken time, and time was the one thing I wasn't giving them. I'd booked everything refundable on purpose, Because I don't trust my family, and I don't trust travel companies either. Flights, canceled. Hotel, canceled. Airport transfer, canceled. The portals didn't spit money back instantly, obviously, but the confirmations came through right away. Reservations voided, tickets canceled, everything officially dead in the system. I leaned back, checked the cancellation numbers twice, and put my phone face down. 20 minutes later, my phone lit up like a Christmas display. The airport show had begun. First message came from Natalie. "We're here." "Something's wrong with the tickets," I replied immediately. "Nothing's wrong. I canceled everything. I'll explain later. Leave if you can." There was a long pause. Then she wrote, "I thought something felt off on the drive. I'm stepping aside. Call me later." Good. At least one person wasn't about to explode in public. Not even a minute passed before the real messages started. "Maria, Raphael, what is going on? They can't find our reservation. Fix this now." "Martin, I'm at the counter. They say you canceled the flight. You better call them and fix your mistake." Cecilia, "Are you kidding me? Where is my upgrade? Do something." I didn't respond. I just opened the camera roll and replayed the video they didn't know I had. Meanwhile, the airport chaos kept blowing up my screen. Natalie, "Leaving now." They're yelling at each other. "I'm sorry, Rafa. I should have told you sooner." I sent her one text. "You're fine. I'll book you a separate trip later, just for you. Get home safe." She sent a single heart emoji, then nothing. After that, everything turned into a full meltdown. The next set of messages came rapid fire. I could practically see the scene. "Martin, the staff here are incompetent. They say there's nothing they can do because you canceled the tickets. Tell them to put us back on the flight." He must have been standing at the counter barking orders like he owned the place. "Maria, Raphael, people are looking at us. Do you understand how embarrassing this is? You humiliated us." Cecilia, "I literally posted that I was traveling today. People follow me. I look stupid. Fix it." I could practically hear her screech echoing through the terminal. A few minutes later, "Did you cancel the hotel too? They said there's no reservation. Are you out of your mind?" "Yes, I canceled that too. Enjoy your empty itinerary, princess." Then Martin again. "You think this is funny? Grow up. Call the airline or I swear—" I didn't bother opening the rest of his threat. He never finished sentences when he was mad anyway. He liked leaving them hanging so he could circle back later and pretend he'd meant something wiser. In another string of texts, Maria tried a different tactic. "Raphael, honey, maybe you made a mistake. It's okay, just fix it. We're all stressed. Just please call the airline. Your father is losing his temper and Cecilia is crying." Cecilia crying, probably over her lost upgrade. A tragedy, truly. Then came the real kicker. From Cecilia, of course. "You ruined everything because you can't handle being nice without controlling us. This is pathetic even for you." There it was. The truth they'd been holding on to for years. Conveniently the opposite of what the video showed, but sure. More messages poured in. Long paragraphs from Maria, angry fragments from Martin, all caps tantrums from Cecilia. None of them matched. Every version was twisted to make someone else responsible. They couldn't even keep their lies aligned. Relatives started calling next. Uncles, aunts, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. A couple of them leaned hard into the season. "It's Christmas," one of my uncles said in a voice like he was reading a greeting card. "You can't do this at Christmas." Like the date on the calendar made entitlement holy. Nobody asked why I would do it. Nobody asked if I was okay. They called because they heard a fire alarm and assumed I lit the match. I let every call ring out. Another wave of texts arrived. I put my phone down. Silence finally settled in my apartment. For the first time in months, it felt peaceful. They wanted answers. They could wait. I wasn't done yet. And I wasn't about to explain myself to anyone who only knew me when my wallet opened. The airport chaos didn't calm anyone down. If anything, it sharpened their desperation. By the time they got home, my phone buzzed with a new message. This time from Cecilia. Not in the group chat. Directly. "Hey, can we talk for a sec?" Neutral. Almost polite. Impressive start for her. I answered. "Say what you need to say." She typing bubbled for a long minute, like she was crafting the perfect act. "Look, today was crazy. I don't want drama. I just want to fix my part of the trip. I already knew where this was going. Meaning, just rebook my ticket, not theirs. I'll go alone. You don't have to tell them." There it was. The self-proclaimed social one wanted to salvage her image, not the trip. "I already told people I'm traveling. If I don't post anything, it'll look bad." I didn't bother sugarcoating. No. She sent a full paragraph instantly, like it had been waiting in her drafts. "Wow. Seriously? You're really doing this out of spite? You ruined the whole trip. And now you won't even fix one seat? You're so petty, it's unreal. I let her continue. You like this. You like having all the power and making everyone jump. It's sick, Raphael. You enjoy controlling us. You always have. Ah, yes. The same girl who giggled in the video while they trashed me was now the victim. You destroyed my plans. Do you get that? My life revolves around my platform. And now I look ridiculous. You always ruin everything. It's like a hobby for you. I didn't respond. She spiraled on her own. Unbelievable. You're pathetic. Then she stopped messaging. Good. One down. 5 minutes later, Maria jumped in. Hers wasn't direct. It came in waves. First message. Sweetie, your sister is devastated. You know how important her image is. Can't you just help her? Forget us. We'll figure something out. Second message. This whole situation is a stain on our family. People saw us at the airport. They were whispering. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? Third. Families don't do this to each other. You don't embarrass your parents in public. Ever. I kept my phone silent. She could talk to herself for once. Then Martin entered, predictably with the tone of a man who thinks he's still in charge. You listen to me. I don't care what set you off, but this behavior is unacceptable. You owe us respect. You owe your mother care. You were raised better than this. This is not how a man handles conflict. You fix what you broke. You don't punish your family. Punish? Interesting, considering who was doing the punishing all these years. A third message, angrier. You cancel the trip? Fine. But refusing to talk? Grow up. As the eldest, the burden is on you to keep the family together. That line made me laugh. Keep the family together. Right. The same family that tore me apart the moment I wasn't in the car. I still didn't respond. Relatives were next, like vultures circling anything that smelled like drama. They called, texted, sent voice notes. Raphael, just be the bigger person. Your mother is heartbroken. Fix this. You know Cecilia's sensitive. A trip isn't worth ruining the family. Not one of them asked what they said. Not one asked if I was okay. Not one asked why I canceled. They heard a story and assumed it must have been mine. I didn't bother correcting them. Meanwhile, something else was happening quietly. Natalie. My phone buzzed again. I talked to them. I talked. They're lying to everyone. Telling different stories depending on who they want sympathy from. I expected that. A minute later, I confronted Martin and Maria directly. I told them I recorded everything. I told them they attacked your character without hesitation. They got defensive fast. I smiled at that. Your mother claimed she didn't mean it that way. Your father said you misinterpreted their tone. Cecilia said you're being dramatic. All predictable. I told them no one gets to talk about you like that while taking your money. I told them they need to stop twisting the story. Maria walked off. Martin yelled. Cecilia cried. It was a mess. I replied, you didn't have to do that, but thank you. I did. Someone needed to say it. They're not sorry for what they said. They're only sorry they lost the perks. There it was. The truth condensed into a single sentence. Just panic over the loss of free luxury. For the first time since the trip was planned, something clicked in place. The noise, the pressure, the accusations, their entire meltdown, none of it came from caring about me. It came from losing access to me. And I finally realized what they'd never expected. I could walk away, and there was nothing they could do to stop me. I didn't warn anyone. I didn't call a meeting, drop hints, or give them the courtesy of a countdown. I just logged into each account I'd been quietly carrying on my back and shut the doors one by one. Utilities, off. Not, I stopped paying. I mean, I logged into accounts that were in my name, because months ago I'd put them there to help temporarily. One click to cancel autopay. One phone call to schedule a disconnect. Anything in my name went dark. Anything not in my name just lost my card. Phone plans, unpaid. I couldn't terminate what wasn't in my name. I just removed my card, canceled autopay, and stopped catching her every time she fell. Subscriptions, gone. Every automatic payment Martin, Maria, and Cecilia depended on vanished. No ceremony, just a quiet cancellation behind my laptop screen. The first tremor hit 2 days later, because when a utility account is under your name, you don't have to beg the universe to make a point. You just stop carrying it. Natalie told me she stopped by my parents' house to drop off a pie. The moment she stepped inside, Maria was pacing the hallway with a stack of bills in her hand. The water was shut off this morning. They said the account holder requested a disconnect, she told Natalie, and now the electric company says service is scheduled to be shut off too. Something isn't right. She said it like the universe had personally attacked her. Martin stood in the living room pretending he had it under control, flipping through the mail like a man reviewing battlefield reports. We'll manage, he said louder than necessary. We don't need Raphael. Never did. But the sweat on his face said otherwise. By the end of that week, the money vacuum hit hard. The house felt different, Natalie said. heavy, irritated, buzzing with panic they didn't want to admit. Cecilia tried being the fixer first. She wanted to keep her public image intact. She drove to the phone provider like she could smooth it over in person. She came back an hour later, holding the bill like it was evidence. "They want payment," she snapped. "Actual money. Why is everything so expensive? My phone bill didn't used to be this high." Maria whispered, "Because Raphael handled it." Cecilia froze, like she'd been slapped with a truth she didn't want. Then she yelled, "Well, why isn't he handling it now?" No one answered. Later that afternoon, Maria tried making phone calls from the neighbor's porch since their home line was dead. She begged for a small loan from 3 different relatives, and, predictably, every one of them suddenly had financial issues of their own. Funny how quickly support dries up when you ask for something real. Meanwhile, Martin kept insisting they would figure it out, even though Natalie heard him ripping open envelopes in the kitchen, like he expected a miracle check to appear inside. The man still maintained his pride, even while standing in the dark, because the lights flickered every time the system tried to stay alive without payment. Maria finally cracked first. Natalie told me she found her sitting at the dining table with her face buried in her hands. "Let people find out," she whispered. "This looks terrible. Everyone knows Raphael was taking us on that trip. Now they'll think something is wrong with our family." Something is wrong with your family, I thought when I heard it. You just finally have to live in it instead of covering it with my money. Martin tried to keep the structure intact by yelling at everyone. At Cecilia for spending too much. At Maria for being dramatic. At the sink for dripping. At the ceiling for existing. He blamed everyone except himself. Natalie witnessed one argument that lasted nearly 40 minutes. Cecilia screamed that she needed internet for work. Maria cried that her sister called asking why her number wasn't working. Martin slammed his hand on the counter and shouted, "Raphael is doing this to get attention. He wants us crawling back." They weren't crawling. They were unraveling. Natalie told me she waited for a moment when they weren't on each other's throats and finally said what needed to be said. "You all need to stop lying," she told them. Martin rolled his eyes. "We're not lying. You told 3 different relatives 3 different stories," Natalie said. "You blamed Raphael, me, and each other. You know what caused this." Maria straightened her blouse like she could fix the problem by rearranging fabric. "We were upset. People say things." "You didn't sound upset," Natalie shot back. "You sounded comfortable. Too comfortable." And Cecilia, arms crossed like a sulking child, huffed, "Why do you always defend him?" "Because he was the only one supporting this house," Natalie said. "And you treated him like dirt the minute he wasn't in the car." That hushed them for about 5 seconds. Then Martin puffed out his chest. "We don't need Raphael. We'll fix this ourselves." But by then, half the neighborhood had noticed the sudden lack of lights at night. Someone mentioned to Natalie that Maria had been seen carrying buckets from the neighbor's backyard spigot because their water had been shut off, and she didn't want anyone to know. Another neighbor said Cecilia borrowed their Wi-Fi password temporarily and never gave it back. Even the relatives who initially scolded me had gone suspiciously silent. Once money entered the conversation, they disappeared faster than air from a popped balloon. Natalie gave me all of this the next time I saw her. She looked tired. Tired of protecting me, tired of witnessing their downfall, tired of being the only sane person orbiting insanity. "You know what's ironic?" she said. "All this talk about family pride, and the second your money disappeared, so did their unity." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Their collapse wasn't loud on my end. It was quiet, steady, predictable, each piece of their life falling apart exactly where my support used to hold it together. So I gave them a week, not because they deserved it, but because I wanted the dust to settle. I wanted to see how far the collapse would go once the scaffolding of my money was removed. It went exactly where I expected. They weren't talking to each other. They weren't paying bills. They weren't apologizing. They weren't acknowledging what they'd said in the car. They were stuck in a loop. Panic, blame, denial, repeat. Once I knew the pattern wasn't going to change, I wrote the last message I would ever send to them. No speeches, no emotion, just facts. To Martin, Maria, and Cecilia, I listed every single expense I covered for the last 11 months. Mortgage payments, utilities, groceries, phone plans, insurance, subscriptions, repairs, vehicle maintenance. Even the small things, deliveries, medication pickups, emergency cash transfers, every line had a date and an amount. No room for debate. No room for misunderstanding. Then I attached a still frame from the video, one where all 3 of them were visible. Not the worst part, just enough to show certainty. Below it, I wrote, "I saw the video. I heard every word. Nothing was taken out of context." I closed the message with the final sentence they thought I'd never say. "There will be no more financial support, temporary or permanent. This is final. Do not contact me again." Then I sent it. Before they had the chance to react, lash out, or try one more manipulation, I blocked all three of them. Clean cut, no noise, no flinch. And I turned on silence unknown callers, because I knew they'd start borrowing other people's phones the second their own numbers stopped working. Natalie stayed unblocked, obviously. She was the only one who hadn't pretended, lied, or used me as a wallet with a heartbeat. The aftermath wasn't dramatic on my end. It was just quiet. According to Natalie, the three of them went into a frenzy when they realized they couldn't reply. Martin apparently shouted something about cowardice and running away from responsibility, but nobody was listening. Maria immediately tried calling from the house phone, then the neighbor's phone, then her cousin's phone. None got through. Cecilia locked herself in her room and screamed that her life was over, which honestly wasn't far from the truth. Her online presence was collapsing. No phone plan meant no constant posting. No Wi-Fi meant no live streams. No money meant no aesthetic content. The silence from her followers must have been brutal. Relatives backed away gradually. At first, they tried to play peacemaker, but when the conversation inevitably turned into, "Can you help us cover this bill?" they became unavailable. One by one, they stopped answering my parents' calls, stopped visiting, stopped pretending they could fix the situation. The family that used to brag about being tight-knit dissolved faster than sugar in hot water. Natalie kept me updated only when I asked, never more. She respected the boundary in a way my actual family never had. "They've started selling things," she told me one afternoon. Furniture, old appliances, clothes Cecilia swore she'd never part with. "They're talking about moving to a smaller place." I nodded. Downsizing was inevitable. They'd built a lifestyle on a foundation they didn't lay. "And you?" she asked. "I'm good," I said simply, and I meant it. For the first time in my adult life, no one was draining me emotionally or financially. My phone wasn't a constant source of demands. My days weren't spent anticipating someone else's crisis. My life finally belonged to me. 2 weeks after sending the message, I booked something. Not for them, never again. For Natalie. I told myself it was a Christmas gift. Not the kind Maria would post for applause, just the kind you give when you mean it. A quiet getaway. Nice hotel. Comfortable flight. Flexible dates. Nothing extravagant. I handed her the envelope at her kitchen table. She blinked. "Rafa, what's this?" "A trip," I said. "The one I actually want to give." She opened the packet slowly, almost afraid it wasn't real. "You didn't have to do this," she whispered. "I know," I said. "That's why I did." She hugged me. The kind of hug that didn't need words or explanation. The kind of hug that made it clear she was family in a way blood alone never made her. When she left for her trip, she sent a single message: "Enjoy your peace. You earned it." With everyone else blocked, my days stretched out with a strange stillness. At first, I wasn't sure what to do with all the space. I'd spent so long living in reaction mode, fixing, paying, smoothing over, absorbing impact, that the absence of noise felt almost surreal. But then I got used to it, quickly. I went to the gym more, added hours to my work projects, cooked actual meals, even sat on my couch and watched a movie without my phone lighting up with demands. It wasn't loneliness. It was freedom. A month passed before I heard anything new about them, and it came through Natalie. "They moved," she said. "I think it finally sank in that you weren't coming back." "How do they seem?" I asked. "Exhausted," she replied. "Angry, blaming each other for everything. They can't settle on one version of the story because the truth makes them look bad." I didn't say anything. I didn't need to, because here's what I knew. I didn't lose a family. I walked away from 3 people who only saw me as a solution, not a son or a brother. 3 people who built their comfort on my back and then mocked me for standing upright. They weren't devastated because they lost me. They were devastated because they lost access to me. And that's not the same thing. So no, there was no final confrontation. No shouting match. No dramatic reconciliation. No guilt. No second guessing. Just a door closed from my side for once. And in the silence that followed, I realized something simple. Peace doesn't always come from fixing things. Sometimes it comes from finally letting them break without you. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks. Stories. Thanks. Stories. Thanks. Stories. Thanks.